Hello everyone, and I'm back again tonight, kind of doing an autopsy of sorts of a race that I just did in Le Mans Ultimate, and I wanted to record some footage based off it because I haven't really recorded much on racing games as of late. I mean, I've done the Need for Speed games, but I haven't done anything sim racing related. And excuse the racing line, I had it on, I haven't really driven this track, and I thought I'd keep it on, and to be honest, I just, for some reason, need to have the racing line on in track-based sims, but in games like Forza Horizon 6, I can just have it off, go figure. But this was me in a racing league called Evolution Racing and Development, or I think it's called that. Anyway, it's something in that. The acronym's accurate anyway. And this is midway through my second season in this league, and it's been interesting because more attentive viewers, or those who have watched my videos before my hiatus, have probably noticed that I started doing a lot of videos on F1 2020, F1 2019, even going back to F1 2018, and those all eventually led into me joining a league that I had partook in for a good number of years, kind of on and off in the last couple of years. But in late last year, one of my friends who I've been doing league racing with for a number of years in the F1 games, he messaged me and was like, hey, we can do Le Mans Ultimate, you've got a racing wheel. And I realized, yeah, I do, and I'm not really doing much with it, so I might as well just plug it in and give it a go. And 16 races, 1 podium, and 3 top 5s later, here I am. Not a great finishing record in the scheme of things, and as you can see here, this was a relatively decent attempt to try and nab 6th place from the gentleman in front of me. I came off this race with, for the backdrop, I started this race with very little practice. I had no intention of actually partaking in this race tonight. I had other things planned, but then those plans kind of went belly up, so here I am racing instead. And I was a bit perplexed at the selection. They chose the national circuit rather than the full circuit, whereas last season, unfortunately I didn't partake in that race last season, but they did use the full circuit last time out. Maybe they thought it was just too long because it's still a minute and 40, a minute and 35-ish around here. My best lap was good enough to have me about where I was, weirdly, so I did about as well as I could with what I had. And the move to open setups this season has made things a little trickier because, it kind of reminded me of the rabbit hole that I went down in F1 2021 and 2023, where I was chasing setups and kind of going against how I normally drove in order to chase speed, because, that was the meta, and it just, I was struggling to adapt and it didn't feel right for me, and so on and so forth. So when things opened back up here after a season of fixed setups, I was a little bit worried, and I gotta be honest, I've been comparing my results quite a lot, and it's been funny sort of seeing the sophomore slump. Is that how you say it? I've never learned how to say that properly, but I'm just gonna roll with it, and then someone can correct me later on. But like last season, across 10 races, I only did 8 of them. There was 2 I skipped because of personal issues at the time, and of course those issues were what eventually led me to restart my YouTube channel. But yeah, those 2 races I skipped obviously did as 0 points, but I had a 2nd place, a 4th place, and a 5th place, and then 2 6th places. It was a pretty solid start, and I was the fastest guy in the Mustang, fastest driver in the Mustang, and people cotton on to that for this season, and I'm now the slowest, go figure. But hey, I'm still relatively competitive. I liken myself to like a Nico Hulkenberg type in that I'm just a reliable steerer, or if you're going to go local, maybe I don't know, I can't really think of any supercars drivers, but you get the gist. And the thing I found particularly amusing about this car, well, actually it's not amusing, it's very frustrating, and it's kind of going into the love-hate relationship I have with this game, because at this game's peak, this game is some of the most fun I've ever had in sim racing, if not probably the most fun I've ever had in sim racing, just because the community that the guys at ERD have fostered, is a really chill one. Very non-committal, but very competitive, so there's not a lot of intensity. In fact, a lot of the intensity is on myself, really, and how I overthink things and how I get nervous for these things, because you put in a lot of time prepping for these, and I put a lot of emotional or a lot of mental energy trying to get through these, and when you come out of it with a decent result, you're like, okay, I'll go at it again. And then you either continue that trend and you start doing good and you build your confidence, and then regardless of how confident I am in my abilities in this sim racing series, one bad race will undo it for me, and that's just how I am, unfortunately. It's infuriating, but that's just how I've grown up, really. That's just how I am, being the way that I am. But alas, this game at its peak is amazing. It's not perfect, nothing's perfect, but it is amazing, and it is so much fun. I've only really touched the GT class because I didn't really like how the hypercar class felt. Then again, my racing wheel is comparatively basic compared to a lot of people. I only use a Logitech G923, so that thing it's a decent wheel, but it's nothing like a MickLMZR 5 or anything else that's more fancy, a Sim Magic or stuff like that. But regardless, the things that I hate about it is that I picked this car because it was not a terribly popular choice, but it was a stable car. But you do get, like, you don't see it here, but throughout practice I had these weird issues with these curbs, and like I clearly got the gist of it. I had a really good flow going, and I'm like, okay, this is, you know, I don't have to worry about this, you know, the car will not spin out. But the car has a weird habit, the Mustang being the car for the record, has a nice habit of you brake sharply around curbs or around corners and the rear will kick out and you just lose the rear and you'll be on an awkward slide. And it's happened to me in a couple of races this year. It's happened to me in more races this year than it did at all last year. Like I remember, well, last season. But with last season, I was able to sort of adapt to that because it was a fixed setup. And I'm like, okay, I've clearly got corners that I'm weak at. Okay, I'm going to adapt to it in other parts of the track. But in this season, it's like, okay, there are other people in the same car who are faster than me. How do I get around that? And a part of it is me just thinking that I'm simply maybe too old. But then again, there are people who are older than me who are more competitive. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe I'm just very obviously not good enough. There are almost certainly things that I could improve on, and people are probably watching this going, this is, you know, relatively poor racing. But what matters to me more than anything else, especially in these longer races, is just to be as consistent as I can and to avoid, you know, getting into any sort of overthinking or trying to, like, you know, basically in these races, regardless of where I am, it's like, okay, try to get into a flow state, try to stay out of trouble, just try to gain those places where you can. And this clip doesn't really show me gaining anything, spoilers. I nearly gained 6th place, and it's a good little battle actually that comes up pretty shortly, but this race was actually quite a lonely one in the scheme of things, because I started 8th, gained 7th from a rather, well, I thought initially that it was a relatively aggressive move down the inside coming up to this corner here, which is turn, I can't actually see it through the viewfinder of this video, which is hilarious. I think it's like turn 11 or turn 12. Anyway, it's this corner coming up. And I managed to take P7 and then hold it for the rest of the race, which was a 40-minute race. So it was a relatively lonely affair in the scheme of things, but in a way, I kind of liked it because it's like, okay, I was just able to continuously, you know, gain on the car behind me and build up a buffer while, you know, making the car in front of me honest, you know, keeping him honest and getting him to try go faster, you know, good battles and whatnot. Whereas like the race beforehand, I spun out and then got collided into by one of my friends who got me back into this game. And then that resulted in me having a very lonely race around a track that I finished 4th in the previous season. So it's just, it's strange in a way. Like, we're not really racing for anything of value, but the dedication is still there. I really want to, you know, be competitive and feel good about these results. But sometimes it's difficult. It's funny how that's been a persevering thing for me over in my F1 league racing days. I very rarely finished off full seasons because I just lost motivation or something had happened. Like, you know, I'd started a new job and I'm like, look, I don't want to juggle the stresses, the mental sort of focus on doing sim racing and also starting like new things in my life. Those two just don't work together well. And otherwise, I just didn't straight up play some games in the leagues. Like F1 22 I never played because I thought that was one of the worst F1 games ever made, really. That game was absolutely rubbish. But this game, going back to this game, it's a good one. I've spent over 100 hours or so on this, and you know, it's a fun little game. It's actually quite big actually. I like the direction that it's headed in, but it's funny going through this clip and seeing how I recorded this because I wanted to get some footage of this game finally get like some sort of footage I could just look back on and be like, hey, you know, this is how I raced. But it's kind of funny in a way. Starting this footage, I lost about a second to the car in front of me because I was, you know, stupid and just decided, I'll use Alt Z and, you know, activate the shadow play recorder there, and I should have just used the actual combo key, which is Alt F9, because I lost a second, and as you can see here, I'm 0.6 behind. Had I have not done that, I probably would be fighting for this position quite actively, like, you know, probably muscling my way ahead, because you can see here, I catch up here very close towards the end here. And he does actually have a worse exit than I do, but unfortunately I just couldn't do anything, and you know, that's a hard overtaking zone. Just didn't quite work out. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now. And I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now. Bye for now.